Someone has stepped across the threshold this evening as our newest house guest. He's crossing over from the normal world into our haunted house. Welcome to the Looks Creepy Cool podcast, part of Haunted House FearFest. I'm your host, Renee, and tonight I'm joined by Thomas Bo Huusmann, the developer of Hell Dive from Teacup Games, winner of Best Video Game of the Year and the Grim Reaper Award at the 2025 Haunted House FearFest Film and Video Game Festival. Hell Dive plunges players into the depths of an abandoned deep sea colony, alone, running out of oxygen, and never quite sure what's waiting in the dark. Tonight, Thomas and I will wander room by room through the haunted house and uncover what makes this game so creepy cool. Let's step inside. Hi, Thomas. How are you?
Hey, Renee, and thank you for having me.
Awesome. Of course. Well, we like to call our audience the Watchers of the House. Oh, and Watchers of the House, Thomas has won big at the festival. We are super excited that he entered the house with his game. The judges and the panel, they were spooked by it. He won the Grim Reaper Award, Best Video Game of the Year. Super exciting. So congrats, Thomas. And he's all the way from Denmark, so we're happy.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Quite a
awesome.
surprise.
Well, it was awesome. So, just so watchers of the house, if you're a regular to the show, you already know, but with Thomas, we'll go from room to the house. So, we'll always start out with the creepy kitchen, where you share like your ingredient of fear for the game, the library of shadows, where we discuss what inspired our house guests, the mirror room, will reflect on his horror origin story, the basement brief for stairs, reveal industry secrets or lessons, the attic call, where he talks about what's pulling him forward, and the final room, you'll share your creepiest moment and most coolest moment. Now, Thomas, we might not make it through every room and we might go from different rooms, not in that order. So it really depends upon your questions, your answers to the questions and how we go through the tour. So we'll
Let's,
just see from there.
let's just get into the house and see what
Woo!
happens. All right.
Yeah. So here we're in the creepy kitchen. And Thomas, I must ask you this. So if fear and hell dive were an ingredient in a recipe, what's the core flavor? Claustrophobia, helplessness, or the unknown, and why?
That's actually a good question, I think, because for me, it's all about tension. I already worked with suspense and tension, and that is the main core ingredients. So now you asked about claustrophobia. I didn't really work with that actually at all, because I think we get that served by the theme itself of being underwater and in a submarine. So we start, like, the first flavor you get is that feeling, but then I was slowly just build tension and try to stay there as long as possible. And that will say would be the main ingredients.
So when the players are going, like when I was going through the game, like a lot of the feelings that stay with me was like dread and isolation. So you're building that tension, but you still have those layers of emotions throughout the game. So how did you build that into the story arc of the game? Like, how did that all come about?
Good question. It's because it's so fresh in a way. Like, we're actually still developing on the game and a little bit not fighting to keep it, but we want to keep the core motion of the game intact. So when you ask the questions now about isolation and how to keep that there, it's easier when you very limited. We really keep the sound score low. We don't
Mm.
put much sound in there. I also keep it a little bit cheap. It sounds a little bit wrong to call it that word, but that was on purpose. Now I brought in two audio designers because they now have the ability to do so. Now that we have the game, one from Silent Hill and one from Post Trauma, and
Wow.
they're now going through the whole score and recreating it. But then now it's very difficult to keep the isolation because they start building all kind of things and like, no, but there's no sound. You start imagining, and then you start feeling more isolated because there's nothing that to feed you, and that kind of that emotion was something I was really trying to tap into. So yeah, it's I don't know if I lost you on the question there a little
No,
bit,
no,
maybe.
no, I get it. No, no, I get it. Wow, especially like from Silent Hill, like everyone's talking about Silent Hill. So that's great that you have someone to help you with that for the next rounds. That's amazing. How did that come about?
That's way back. I was at GDC. I come from mobile games. I
Mhm.
wanted to leave that um, for my own personal reasons. So I was at GDC in San Francisco way back, and
Mhm.
I just met an Argentinian guy, a very nice guy. We just hit it off 10, 15 years ago, and then I don't know how we just reconnected, and then we just talking. I said, "Oh, well, I'm actually doing sound for these games and Star Trek Online and so on." And he said, "Shouldn't I make a crack at this?" And then him and his friend, and they both are senior audio designers, touring Europe, giving talks about how to use sound in games. I was like, "Sure, why not? Let's have fun." A lot of the whole concept of the game, a lot of the idea behind Helldive was just let's just build it together with friends and have fun with it. So it wasn't really thought through when we started. It was just like we have an idea and we just started like building horizontally, and then it just grew and grew. And then because I'm actually a producer, so as a producer, my main goal is to navigate feature creep. So I just had to navigate that myself as a director here, but it was a little bit difficult. So this was a big challenge. But so it just kind of like grew and became, and the same thing with the audio guys now, that they just like suddenly just popped up, and I just involved them. And because we wanted to make a little update with a new feature and a smaller feature, and then so that's why it's not released yet, because they're doing the sound. So we're waiting for them to get that done.
Wow, it was destiny in the horror world. That's just meant to be. So, was there a single moment, like, during development where you thought, "Wow, this is the moment that will haunt players?"
There are two moments, and one is actually not in the game yet. It will come now.
Oh, okay. So you wanna okay, so you have to stay in touch with the house.
Yeah,
You have
yeah,
to stay in
definitely.
touch with the house. We have to know. We have to know. So
So
that
yeah,
leads so that leads me to the basement stairs or the basement brief. And so underwater horror, it's like so technically complex, at least from my opinion. And like, what was like the hardest element to make feel real? Was it like the oxygen management? Was it the lighting? Was it the sound? Like, what was the hardest part of that?
for me, the hardest part with the game was to actually make it underwater feel, since it's in a submarine and on some facilities. You often will forget that you actually are underwater when you're not out in the water. No doubt I would have loved to make the in the water segments as well that I developed in my head. I mean, that we wrote down ideas upon, but that was not possible. So we had to make a decision. So to create that feeling that you are underwater when you're in a room where there isn't, like, of course, when you hit the wall, you get water. And so kind of like building these elements in, and that was definitely hard to keep that illusion, because you buy it in the beginning. So that's also in the beginning, we didn't have a moon pool where the submarine is. So at the beginning, you just went up in a room, and you went up some stairs, and then you are in a room and you go into the facility. But if we add the moon pool, then you automatically see the water every time you enter and exit the facility. And then we also didn't have windows. Okay, we have to have windows and we have to have access to the water. So we started building these elements in, because otherwise it's just like it's not really underwater. It could be an elevator, and then you go into a room.
Right.
So and
Right.
we yeah, so that I felt was one of the big ones to tackle, and generally just as a this is made all as a team that are not sitting together, so we're all sitting separately, and to get everything working and get all the parts united, also quite challenging.
Wow. So are you guys all do you live within the same area or do you guys live in different countries or and if so, wow, you guys must have great management skills and organization skills if that's the case.
But we're actually a very small team. Like the core team, we are three guys, like the core. The rest are people that I brought in my network. So it's yeah, it was mainly me and the programmer for a long time who was just developing, and then we had an artist, and we are not sitting in the same city. I'm sitting in Copenhagen, and the programmer is sitting in Odense, which is like 100 kilometers away, 120 kilometers from Copenhagen. But
So
mostly, yeah,
how long did it take you to finish the game?
we started in
I know you're still
August.
working on it, but yeah.
Yeah, we started in August, and the vision of the original game, which we agreed to finish off, we finished 6 months later.
Wow, that's still pretty quick.
That
Wow.
was, but then we also released with you don't know that version of the game, but with a lot of what do you call it, flashback. What is it called when you get it out of it broke, so there was a game break in it, very
Oh.
heavy. So I actually was about to like, okay, we failed on the game. Should we continue on it?
Mhm.
And then originally I actually said, okay, maybe not. But two of the horror YouTubers, a little bit bigger ones, Siju and Ibsen, Ibram, one of those little bit bigger ones, like they have around 150,000 viewers or 50,000 viewers.
Mhm.
They played it through and they just keep crashing every level. There was a
Oh.
huge memory leak in the game. But then afterwards, they still gave it positive reviews on Steam. So even though they had a horrible experience with the game, I decided, okay, they still give us a positive review, and one of them wrote me personally and explained why he didn't make a video of it, uh, but he wouldn't mind doing it if this gets fixed. So I was like, okay, let's continue and eat my ego,
Yeah.
because I thought it was a good
Yeah.
game, and then you get beat. Also, some of the gameplay you get beaten down, and that hurts. But it's also the way to learn, and then I feel that this game deserves to become a stronger game.
So, were there parts in the game that you took out to help keep everything focused when you went back to the drawing board, let's say, and just, get it where it should be?
So, what do you mean when you ask that question?
So, like, were there certain parts, like, in the first where he said, like, "Oh, there were some things and why it was crashing." So, were there some things that you cut out so that to keep everything, like, the game focused, like, and to keep it going and fix it?
Yeah, so the thing that happens was more like a technical issue that just makes
Mhm.
to eat up your memory card and your hard drive and then just crash your game. So
Okay.
that was not so game specific. We did have to change because of that. We did have to change the way. How technical do your audience normally like to talk? How technically can I be?
But you can say whatever.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we just the way you save the game
Mhm.
was not very healthy before. Also because we started making a smaller game and then it grew. So originally, it wasn't supposed to get into big facilities. You just basically go up to small rooms, and then there we would create something. Like you have a basement here, we have a kitchen. So it was much smaller, but then we created actually real facilities. So we actually had everything in one scene, and that you cannot. That was not. It's very very unhealthy. So we had to redo that, and we lost some of the scariness because if you have everything in one scene, we can have the leviathan or the monster out in the water, be outside when you run around in the facilities because it is outside actually where you are. But then that has to be added and removed and then rearranged for another update. We haven't done that yet. So some of the things we had originally in there to create suspense and to build up like to the tension in you had to get out. But it gave us a lot of other benefits that we didn't work with. So technically we had to do it
Gotcha.
in that sense. Yeah.
Gotcha. Oh, awesome. So we're at the part where you're still in the basement, but you really want to get out of the basement and go to the next room. So I have what I call a lightning round, and you answer one word, and I'm going to ask you just a series of questions. So we're going to start with practical or psychological horror,
Psychological.
oxygen running low, or creature approaching. What scares you more?
Creature approach.
Really? Yeah, I see. Yeah, oxygen running low, you see like a slow death. So yeah, at least you can move out the way with the
You
creature
just faint.
approaching.
You just fall asleep, you know?
Yeah, yeah. That's
Like,
scary.
I would say that is scary, but you just don't have any oxygen and you just fall asleep. It's not like Arnold Schwarzenegger in Total Recall. So
Oh,
so
yeah.
so it is to just like sleep and die. Whereas the other one, you don't know what that monster's gonna do. So I
Right,
prefer not dealing with
right,
that if I have to go.
right, right. Fix it later development moment you still think about.
Can you repeat that again?
The fix it later developer moment you still think about it. Like when you're doing the game, it's like, "Oh, I'll fix it later. I'll fix it later." What
I'll
was
fix it
that
later.
moment?
Yeah, I'll fix it later. What the
No,
moment
like
is
yeah, what the moment is, yeah.
in
You
one
kept on
word.
pushing off. Yeah, or
Uh,
2.
I don't know. I don't know how to answer that. My Danish don't
Okay.
understand it. Sorry.
Okay. Well, you're still in the basement, so let's see if you can move up the stairs with this one. What's your go-to comfort food for late night development sprints or develop
Popcorn.
popcorn late at night?
Yes.
Okay. All right, one more. A monster attack or drowning? The worst death.
Drowning.
Drowning. Okay.
That's it's not silent.
No, that's scary. Okay. All right. He made it, guys. So we're going to go to the Library of Shadows. And one thing I wanted to ask like, there's community talk about the title similarity between Hell Dive that I saw and Hell Divers. How did you approach naming your game?
Very stupidly, honestly. It's because it's a dive down into hell, and we uh, dive to hell sounds like a ticket to ride, and it just became, I just couldn't get past that. And at that point, I didn't know what this game would become, or if it actually would win anything, or it had any traction at all. So I was like, I know there's a game, but it's not really the same, and it is a hell dive. So we just call it that. It has hurt us. It has hurt us, marketing wise, and it is generally not a smart thing to do, and I wouldn't recommend anybody else to do it. And when we localize it, maybe if I can change the name there, I will. Actually, yeah.
Okay. Well,
But
keep the house posted for sure.
I like the name. So I was the one. Everybody else said I should change it, but I said as a director, no, that's my name. That's why I was stupid.
No. Well, you got 2 awards from the festival, so hey, it worked.
And I
Yeah.
will say this very fast. I enjoy the discussion I have with people online when they write me. This is not for democracy, or they have all these kind of things, right? I enjoy going into those. It is funny. We had a long one discussion about being sued by Sony and so on, and there was just a lot of fun on Reddit.
Oh my wait, so wait, a discussion about being sued on by Sony?
No, we didn't. There's not like somebody would say,
Oh,
"Are you
okay.
not afraid that you will be?" And then we had this a little bit longer thread that was quite fun, about if they come, then and so on. It's like,
Why would they come though? Was
no, they
there
will
I
not.
can't
They will not.
oh,
No, no. It
no.
was just silly.
They got enough on their plate.
Yeah, I think so.
So, where like, Hell Dive, like, you talked like you had all these ideas and then, like, you like, it's just something that it was a spark and then it just morphed into this video game, like, what was that spark? Like, where did it come from? Like, was it like you were taking a boat in the middle of the ocean and like, "Oh, I wonder we do a game about this." Like, how did it come about?
Well, the game came about. We were actually doing a bigger game, and we're getting funded on that game, which was a completely different genre. And then, yeah, early August last year, I'm talking to my programmer, and we just like, because I actually I'm kind of like closing that project because I have a game loop I can't figure out. So I'm like, we have to put a break on that one. And then we're just talking, and he really loves horrors, and we said, okay, let's make a horror. I was like, yeah, sure, that could be fun. Let's try that. When I say about mobile, I came from children's entertainment, and so for me, it was like this is completely different and could be such a big challenge. And I used to teach film, and when I often use Psycho from both Gus Van Sant's version and Hitchcock, and I kind of like said, "Can you show me?" Like talked about the differences and how Hitchcock is a master of suspense and tension, and how Gus Van Sant didn't hit that the same way, or he went a different approach. So I always like to use horrors as an example for good filmmaking because it's a special, yeah, that it's a special
Yeah.
niche, but very strong. So I went into the game with that aspect of could be a great challenge to do something I hadn't done before actually. And now I can't say I'm hooked yet, but I do have 2 titles in my head, and I also have the kind of gameplay and everything. And I'm like, I would love to make them someday.
Uh,
So there
I
will be
can't
coming
wait.
more horrors coming out,
I
definitely.
can't wait. I can't wait. So, in the game, were there parts of you are there parts of you in the game that, like, exist inside the game, like, when you play it or when you were developing it? If so, like, what parts would those be or part?
I think I link all of it somehow. There's one scare that's not related to me, but that's because my programmer, he had this idea from a Japanese horror series of horror short stories he was reading, and he really wanted to try that. Uh, but the rest, I find I link it to my own personal life. I've tried to be chased by somebody at night. It's not fun, like when you're a kid and stuff like that. So there are stories that you experience in life, and some of them might not even be at all scary or dangerous, but it kind of like you kind of get a connection, and then you try to hone in on that connection because you want to feel I want to feel what is in the game. So I have to feel it, otherwise I can't make it. So it kind of has to link. So I think all of it actually is more or less. Not that I went down the rings of
I was about to say.
hell. I'm not connected to Dante that way, but so it could be something very simple like the I don't know. I'm not going to say those right now, but because of time. But there are definitely a lot of it is. Um, I don't know how much spoiler, so I'm not gonna go down that road in this one
Mhm.
because then we'll spoil a lot of the gameplay, and I think people should try the game first.
Yes,
But I
definitely.
have a lot. I would say most of it. If we had a conversation on that over something about New York, I could tell you a lot of the different things that are happening and how it actually links to my own life.
Well, the house would love to hear that, and you're always welcome to come back on the podcast for sure. But that's leading me to the attic, and this is what's like it's leading me to like what's pulling you forward. And so, if what lessons did you learn in creating Hell Dive? Like, like you're producer and then you're the director. So, like, what lessons in about horror, about yourself as a creator, did you learn from like making this game?
Yeah. So there's two things of what we want to learn. One thing is that okay, I went into the horror and that was fun. The other thing was that when you have a games company, and I went like you have your dream game, and this was our first title. So I was running a studio, and I came out and now let's make our own game, and I was directing that, and it was way too big, and I didn't know what I was doing. So that's why I had to shut it down, or at least put it on hold for further notice. And that's when the horror started, or the horror game started. And when that game started, I said, okay, I still want to learn the aspects that we missed from the early days of the other game. Like that was a year and a half in development, and nobody has heard of it. So so
Mhm.
so there was a lot of the kind of like how do you go to market on Steam. So there's a lot of that's not horror oriented. That actually was the purpose also of it. And if you see the game we're making now, which is actually not horror, and I'm not directing it even, um, the what you're doing in Helldive, if you add some more flavor to that in a different kind of setting, and if you go on Steam and you see upcoming games, you'll see our game is very different.
Mm.
Then that's actually the same. And for me, it was very nice to get out and try. No, maybe it sounds wrong to say very nice, but it was very valuable to go out and make a horror game when you come from young adult entertainment, the kids and so on, to kind of like having a discussion on, well, there's going to be a scare in one of the facilities. I can talk a little bit about it, or not scare, but more like a dredge feeling you'll get. That if when we talk about that, that you have to kill somebody, and having that discussion and the philosophy or kind of like having these kind of like talks about killing another person and what is why and how. It's like this is not conversation I've had in my professional life when I work before. And that was such an eye opener on what we are doing now, also in a game that actually is not really a horror game. I am talking about the next horror game with somebody, but you know, this is so right now we're doing a non-combat action RPG. So that's a completely different. Because I would want to do a little bit RPGs and the horror maybe also later, right? So
Wow. So when are you hoping that game comes out in 20 it would be like later in 2026, like summer 2026 or earlier than
yeah,
that?
yeah, it's gonna August 2026 is what I aim for. So
Okay.
this is not set in stone. So now I'm just but so I have on the beginning of the yeah that quarter.
Well, that's so what do you hope players like in years to come? What do you hope like in the minds of players, like what do you hope they remember from playing your game, Helldive?
I just hope that the way the emotions like so I have to go a step back. For me, horror games are very different than many other genres. So I have a completely different thing I want the players to stay with them. So for me, when it's Helldive, as we develop the story a little bit further, because there's some layers you don't get in the story, so you feel always a little bit like Silent Hill, and the kind of the ending kind of is the same, but actually it's a lot more just like The Shining if you actually knew what
Mm.
the story is about. And then we're kind of like into. I have a new level designer as well as a good level designer who's going in and adding to the game now to make it fulfill that vision. So it's for the story. This kind of so for me, what I want them to remember is, or what they will for me sit with afterwards is the feeling of a unique experience in the horror genre that is a little bit different than most others. This is also why the first facility you visit, you expect something from the fuel that is then not fulfilled, but that's all on purpose. To already from the beginning saying this is not a horror game, or this is not like a game that you would normally play. I would like to take you out of your comfort zone of what you know. So I want people to sit with that feeling when they played the game, or the gamers to sit with that for the time in the long term. That it's one of those games that will stay with them uh, for more like the emotions the game gave them. Sorry, my language.
It's okay.
Game
No,
gave
no,
them.
I get it. No, I get it. Yeah, no, that's great. Wow, that's great. Well, your game definitely resonates that for sure after playing it. And before the lights go out, there is one more door, Thomas, and that is the final room, the final door. And so here we always like to ask our guests before they leave the house, what is the most creepiest thing that's ever happened to you? And what is the most coolest thing that's happened to you? In any order is fine.
So I'll start with the coolest thing that ever happened to me. So I would say normally my kids, of
Mhm.
course, by far. If I go into a little bit more, the coolest thing was actually when we lost 100 million on the ground. Like I had a game coming out where everything was set, big release in the US, feature of mobile games, feature on Apple Store, Google Play, and then I had made a critical error in the contract and our investor, and also with my team. I'm not going to go down that sad road, but no, but losing that so close, because I know when I see what is out there, what would have hit, how we would have hit the market and the belief in it, that this would have been a long term strong case for the studio I have and where we're going, and that dropping right in front of you is not definitely not the creepiest thing, but it's the worst and best thing that happened because it gave me so much insight, and I was so blind. Like you think you know what the world is, and then when this happens, the world just like turns 360. Like they take your skin off you, and
Wow.
everything. You're like, "Ugh." Now we're in the horror world, but it is kind of like it kind of like reveals everything about yourself. And that was, I think, it's the worst, best, and also coolest thing that has happened. I've had many great experiences in life. I think it's the world is a beautiful place, and there's so many things that it gives us and takes, and everything. And I think that's awesome. But the most creepy thing, yeah, there's so many creepy things.
Oh, boy.
And in that sense, I don't think the most. I think one is like supernatural, and the other one is like very down. It's very down there. The most creepy. So I'll give you two.
Yeah.
I know if we have
Okay.
time. Do we have time for two?
We have a little time. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So the one is I also mentioned a little bit was I was on my way home, a little bit late for my age maybe, and I was going under the train station, and actually having that happen in real life, what I see on film, where you're walking and you can hear footsteps behind you.
Yeah.
This kind of vibe, and it's under this weird, what's it called in English, like to go
Like
underneath
the
this,
underpass. The
yeah, underpass,
underpass.
right?
Yep.
And it has this kind of like, I remember this blue, turkey blue kind of colors on the walls down there, and there was not enough light, all this like, and you walk there, and you just hear it, and then you turn back, and you can hear somebody just into the side, so you can't see them. And then you walk up, and then you just continue walking, and then when I turned the corner, I started running, and you hear somebody chase you, and you can hear them breathe right behind you, but you don't look back, and just continue running. I think that for me very naturally was one of those creepy things I've experienced, and I
Oh
will
my
never
God.
forget it. I don't know what would have
Oh
happened if that person had caught me. But that person was right behind me. One lucky thing is that when you get up on the other side, there's nothing there. There's like one house, and then there's like for 500, 300 meters, there's no houses or anything. But it's still like a road that's pretty often used. So this was probably in Denmark. It gets dark pretty early. So this was probably around 8 o'clock in the evening.
that's still early.
So that's early, right? But it's
Yeah.
getting dark at that. It's dark. It's dark at 5. So when I ran there, cars would still come, and I think that actually is why I wasn't. Whatever would have happened didn't happen. So
Thank
that
God.
person probably gave up when he couldn't catch me.
Yeah.
Definitely a man. Definitely a man.
Wow.
So
Thank
that's
God.
that's the natural one. The supernatural one is that where my dad or my father used to live, and when I visited there for the weekends, I had a smaller sister, and she never dared to go into the bedroom, in the master bedroom. And the way you got there is that you have at one end of the hallway, you have the bathroom, and the other end you have a master bedroom. And between that, in that hallway, you have two rooms, a kid's room and two kids' rooms. And I remember I'm sitting in the master bed. I'm sitting in the bathtub in the bathroom.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
door is open, and there's light in that room, but there's no light in the hallway, and there's no light in the master bedroom. But I can look directly down to the master bedroom, and the door is open. And this is supernatural because I don't know what happened and what is if I just imagine it. But I'm sitting there, and I just hear a scream from the master bedroom, but there's nobody there. So you just hear that
Oh my
scream.
God.
I'm just sitting there. I'm like, I don't know, I'm 10,
My
9, 10 years
God.
old, right? It's just, you just hear a
Wow.
scream, but there's nobody there.
So you were in the house by yourself, or was your sister
No,
nearby?
damn, those were like, so you have, then you go up from the bathroom at
Yeah.
the top, you have like a kitchen, you have the kitchen area, kitchen hall, living room, or
Mhm.
kitchen, I don't know what it's called, the dining room, kitchen thing. And then you had also, then there between, you had like a hallway to with the outdoor, and then the other side of that, you had the living room. And the rest of the family was in the living room. So there's nobody in that whole area of the house. And I just heard a scream from that room. And my little sister, she was like 2 years old, she never dared to go into it. She screamed, she cried when she got to that room for no apparent reason. And they also moved away from that place. But I'm just, just like
How long did they live there? How long did they live there?
3 years.
Wow.
3 4 years. So that's supernatural because I don't really know I don't really still understand what happened, because no matter if you believe it or not, I've never had something like that happen. Things falling down, sure, or small stuff, that gets to you. You used to have an office space in a huge building where there was these tubes, and they start making sounds. And when you have your own company, you work very late,
Yeah.
so you start seeing things and believing things that might not be real, right? Because you're just like, this is just a creepy place,
God, that's scary.
Yeah,
Wow. Well, Thomas, you had creepy things that you
yeah.
told me, shared with the audience that has happened to you, and you're still
Many
here.
more.
Thank God. And we can't wait to see more games that you have. And watchers of the house, Thomas, we want to thank you for stepping into the haunted house, and winner, Best Video Game of the Year, Hell Dive, and Grim Reaper Award at 2025 Haunted House FearFest Festival. The game is on Steam. You guys go and play it. And Thomas, please stay in touch with the house. We're dying to know what other games you have in store and the rest of Hell Dive. And so, guys, watchers of the house, if it looks creepy, it must be cool. Follow the fear. The house is waiting. Have a great night. Take care, everyone.
Want more chills and chatter? We're streaming on all podcast platforms.